What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Hey, welcome everybody. I am Love Coach Scott Thomas, and you are watching the Wednesday night edition of The Awakening World. And tonight it's all about relationships. You want to change your life? Change your relationships. Life is relationship. And we've got three extraordinary relationship masters. The co-creators of RelationFlix are with us. And of course, I'm talking about my good friend, Steve Rowland, and his partner, Dolphin, and most of all, my co-host, the lovely and talented Trish Wright, who's having a very special day today. But before we get into all the stuff, we also have Omashar with us, and Omashar is going to do a couple of musical numbers for us. But I want to welcome everybody, and I want to welcome those of you who are watching on Alan Steinfeld's YouTube channel, or perhaps you're watching on our YouTube channel. And most of you are watching on Facebook because we go out over 100 different Facebook groups and pages because of the Sign Network, and we're grateful for that. Now, here's the thing. We're going to be answering your relationship questions today. So if you're looking for support in any of your relationships, it could be family, it could be a lover, it could be a friend, it could be someone you live with, work with. We've got these amazing experts who are going to answer your questions, which means you're going to want to come into the Zoom room. So I am inviting you to join the Global Peace Tribe. It's really easy to do that. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com. You'll learn all about our shows and click register for the new season. We do 3 or 4 shows every week with amazing co-hosts, all original, great guests, and live music. So for example, this is the show we're doing tonight, celebrating the RelationFlix Summit and getting relationship support from these brilliant coaches. This Saturday night, we've got a powerful show on unleashing the power of the heart. It's a collaboration with our friends at Global Coherence Pulse. My co-hosts will be Jennifer Hill and Teresa Collins, and look at all the people they've invited to be with us on Saturday night, all of whom are brilliant. And also Mystical Joyride will be back, one of our favorite musical artists. And then finally, on Sunday, once a month, we have a community conversation, and it's Omashar and myself leading that this Sunday, and we will be announcing all the details for the upcoming retreat in Los Angeles at the end of March. So join the Global Peace Tribe. Do it now. You'll immediately get the links to all of our shows for the next 3 months, including tonight. So you can come in and get your relationship questions answered, possibly by Trish, or maybe by Stephen, or maybe by Dolphin, or maybe by me, or maybe even by Omashar. But one thing I can promise you is that Omashar will give us some wonderful music to get the show started. And I see Eleanor Joy is here. Hopefully she's got her dancing shoes on. Take it away, Omashar.
Hopefully she has, and welcome, yay. My favorite topic, relationships. Oh my goodness, I have hard enough time dealing with myself. And so this is a brand new song, and it's called I Wish the Best for You. And it's the third song of my new upcoming album, which is called Lightness of Being. It's a 10-song album, and I'm 3 songs into recording it. They've all been written. But this is a song that I wrote. If somebody leaves your life, somebody that you love really deeply, and they want to leave no matter what you've gone through, and basically you have a choice. You can either be heartbroken and have your heart torn out, or you can let them go and say, I wish the best for you. And so with that in heart is where and how I wrote this song. So and Eleanor, go for it, please.
And by the way, we're not limiting it to Eleanor dancing. Hopefully we'll see if Dolphin, Steven, Trish, and everybody else can get their groove on.
I wish the best for you. Whatever you do, I love you. I support you. From the depths of my heart, I wish you well. I hear you. I hold you. My loving arms, wherever you go, I'll watch over you, and wish the best for you. I see in your eyes a guiding light, that shines through you. And for you, love of your life, from the center of one, you are beautiful, an angel. Of my heart, I wish you well. I hear you. I hold you. My loving arms, wherever you go, I'll watch over you.
Oh, that's a great new song.
It's a bit of a rock song. I love all genres of music, but I have a bit of a pop rock background, so I put every lick in there possible.
You know, I gotta say, it's pertinent for me because I just spent 3 days at the expo, and staying in my room was not one, but two former significant relationships. Lumina,
Right?
who I lived with for 5 years, and Katrina, who I was engaged to marry. And all three of us
Wow.
stayed in my hotel room together, platonically, and had a delightful time together.
It's phenomenal, man. It's just like you have a choice, and your family can just expand. You know, we wish each other the best.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So thank you for that beautiful theme. That might be something I'll be interested to hear some of our RelationFlix experts on how do we do that? How do we, other than having somebody listen to Omashar's new song, how do we maintain that friendship? So let me tell you one of the
Right.
questions, but want to make sure everybody knows that this is the place to go get Omashar music, and that's omashar.bandcamp.com. And you see that little empty spot? That's where the new album, we just
Called the lightness of being.
Lightness of Being, featuring 10 songs, including the one we just heard, will
Yes,
be in this spot very soon, and we will be celebrating that day. Thank you, Omashar.
my pleasure.
Hey, you'll notice a different backdrop. I've got my big heart backdrop because it was Valentine's Day. And so as I introduce each of our wonderful guests and my co-host Trish, first question, what does love mean to you personally? What does love mean to you personally? And what's a new commitment to love that you are making in your life? And of course, I will start with my wonderful co-host, the queen of Wednesday nights, Awakening World. Hey, Trish.
Hi,
Happy
Scott.
day after Valentine. Happy day after VD.
Oh, that's the joke, right?
Yes.
Um,
Did you have a good VD?
oh, I did. I went on a date,
Ah, how'd it go?
and you might laugh. You all might laugh. If you know me, you might laugh because it was a psychedelic psychologist who's Finnish. It was just a hilarious, sweet
Ja,
moment.
yeah.
Oh, geez. It was just precious. It's like, yeah, so precious. Anyway, I'll answer the question. What does love mean to me? Love means to me it's the radical acceptance of what is. And that's like the general, umbrella of love, in my opinion. But there's actionable steps in a lovership, in a partnership, in a relationship, where for me that looks like being considerate and being thoughtful about this other person, and how can I invest in their lives that would make it better. The other day I saw a video that really touched me, and the concept is great. The way that it landed was, I'll tell you what it was. It was like these two people, and they were serving each other, and it was like the best advice I'd ever gotten is to outserve your partner. And I mean, not necessarily, the competition is not necessary, but I thought about that for a long time, and I was like, oh, to be in service of love, to be that person that you gift to. Was it last week or the week before that we talked about the rabbi that I really loved and the fish love?
Last week. It was last week.
That's kind of my version of love now, is that it's not that I'm in love with someone and they're doing something for me, but how can I give my love? How can I better their lives? How can I invest in them?
Well, that's a great segue for you and I both to share a little bit about our first guest tonight, because he's one of our dearest friends, and he is someone who is so dedicated to love and relationship that he created RelationFlix, which we'll be learning all about. But what do you have to say about Stephen? Let's embarrass him a little bit here.
Sounds good. I'm on board.
Oh, good. Well, these are all things that I care about, right? So I'm like, Steven's really just polite and kind and curious. He's engaging. again, these are just not not business stuff. You're just a very curious and connected human being. I love hanging out with you.
I would say that
Thank
if
you,
somebody
Trish.
was, how do I describe Stephen in 2 words? Relationship geek. He definitely geeks out on relationship. He's been studying it. He took my course more times than anybody else. And he just really loves to understand the dynamics of relationship, and then has put together this incredible RelationFlix format platform with about 20 amazing teachers. But Stephen, before I bring your partner Dolphin on, same question. What does love mean to you personally? And what are your current actions to create more love in your life?
Yeah, to me, love is the experience of unleashing the full majesty of our heart into the world and into life. And to me, trying to just bottom line what love is like, how do you even do that? And to me, that's really what it is. It's like there's this fullness of energy that wants to just throttle out into life from our heart space. And to me, that's what love is. It's the process of being in that and stewarding the full potential of that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I would love to invite you to introduce your partner, Dolphin.
Oh, it would be my pleasure. So coming up next here is my RelationFlix co-pilot, Dolphin. I hold this man in such high regard. His commitment to living from a place of truth, like truth with a capital T, just the degree of warmth and generosity of spirit and heart that he offers everyone in his life, myself and his family included, and just the level of integrity that he's so fiercely committed to, that, I mean, just through my perspective, just seems to kind of express and radiate from him naturally. So I hold this man in very high regard. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dolphin. Hey, Dolphin.
Thanks, Steve. It's a pleasure. Always nice to be with you.
Dolphin, same question. What does love mean to you at this time in your life, and what are you applying and what are you doing to create more love in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that comes to me is this beautiful idea that love is not a noun, it's a verb. It is an action, it is a movement. And of course, human beings can express love, but love moves before and beneath and beyond the normal, familiar human sense of love. And so one of the ways that I really have enjoyed defining love for myself is, at the most essential level, love is the movement of truth. And human beings, we have this incredible ability to be in alignment with that movement, or we can come out of alignment with that movement, which in me is really the source of suffering in our lives. And so coming back to love, coming back to a place of being in relationship with and in full expression of our truth, that's how love moves in us and between us. And it can look a lot of ways. It's not like the fairy tales or the romance novels, but love does nourish us, it does feed us. And I'm always looking for ways to be more in service to it in myself and in my life.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to give Omashar a shot at this because it's such a great question. Omashar, same question. What is love?
It is a great question. And I think that I was never taught about love from birth. In fact, growing up, not in a dysfunctional family, because it was functionally dysfunctional, but we never learned to open express to each other. But now, for me, love is the light that radiates from my heart and is available to share with all beings in this world. And if it happens to be another human being in an intimate relationship, awesome. And if not, and so I've kind of redefined love. And my heart's been smashed and pulverized and broken open several times. And as I mentioned, I think on the last show, is I've decided just to leave it broken and open. The gates can hang off, the hinges can hang off, and they'll rust away. Because now I'm feeling, as a male, I was a little patriarchal, polarized. However, now that I've come into my heart and I feel it emanating from my heart, I realize it's an activity. It's actually actioning into the world. And as long as I keep on plowing back into myself, my own self-love, then I can share it. And so in a nutshell, in a long nutshell, that is my definition for now.
Beautiful, thank you. I'm just coming from the Conscious Life Expo, and several people that I really respect, including our beloved twin Ray. I spent a lot of time with them, both personally and also watching them present. And there's the big picture, which is the entire universe. Call it God, call it the universe, actually is love. Love is all that exists. And obviously that's a very esoteric, kind of mystical way of looking at it, but I believe it to be true. And kind of like, the famous story of Michelangelo saw David in this gigantic piece of marble, and he just removed everything that wasn't David and created that amazing sculpture. Same thing. Let's just work on removing everything that's not love, all the illusion of separation. I'm going to read some of the comments. I'm going to bring everybody, so you're not just seeing me as I'm reading these, but I'm going to read some of the wonderful comments because I really want to make tonight very participatory. And so here are some comments that have come in from our audience. Bonnie writes, love is not a doing, it's a being. Love is all there is. Albiena writes, love is the greatest of gifts given to all of us by our Creator. Grow your love every day in every way. Donna writes, I had to create unconditional love for myself to be able to share it. Hang on, I want to add Omashar there. I had to create unconditional love for myself to be able to share it with all that I come into contact with. Dorina from Ecuador writes, my latest love realization, insight, and invitation was, what if we turn everything into love? Then I embedded it in a beautiful picture of this amazing seeds, flowers, and fruits community mandala, co-created by 14 different tribes at the recent Wellness Festival in Ecuador. And I will do my best to open that file so we can take, yeah, there it is. Here is what she's talking about. So an amazing mandala created by all those different tribes coming together in Ecuador. And yes, we can turn everything into love. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Dorina. Just a couple more comments. Albiena writes, love is as Trish stated, it's acceptance, absolutely. And Susan writes, love means to be in union with the universe and the planet. Everything runs on love. Nice start. We did get one question already from somebody on Facebook. And that was, how do you practice love when you're feeling all alone, especially after Valentine's Day? Who wants to tackle that one? Trish, Little Miss Self-Love show?
All right. Sure, I would love that. Okay, I've got a cat in my arms. Mr. Winston's coming in for this journey because now I'm sitting on the couch. Oh, I guess not. He takes every opportunity to get his love. After sometimes, how do I want to approach this? Sometimes I think that we can get wrapped up in sort of the societal, the conditioning that our worth, it has something to do with whether we have a partner or not. And so when we're feeling alone, something that you taught me, Scott, is to really grieve or mourn, allowing yourself to mourn the unmet want and need, but and also to really focus on that's a very precious want and need. So in those spaces where I get lonely, I like to think of myself as my own lover. Like, what would I do? How would I take myself out on a date? Or how would I use my love as salve, as balm to my broken heart? How would I cook myself dinner? Would I buy myself flowers? Would I leave little notes for me on the mirror so that I wake up to them? it's again, it's showing up in this extra generous way with your love, and not, and you know, staying away from that negative, like negative self-talk that probably isn't what's true and authentic to your soul or your heart, but more things that we're told that if we don't have this, or if we look like that, or that we're not lovable, like all that, to really be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to do some self-growth work today because that's the most loving action that I can take today. So like that.
Beautiful. I'm going to go to Stephen and see what Stephen has to share, maybe about this, or it may be Susan's question.
Yeah, I'll acknowledge Susan's question here, because it's a super juicy one that it's a journey that I've been on, and I think a lot of us can relate to. So Susan asked a question a bit up the chat. I tend to allow those I am in relationship with to do as they want. I figure this way I know if they really want to be in relationship. Is this too passive? I had a super juicy conversation with someone recently about the principle of being a spiritual doormat, where we have this orientation to just people pleasing and really showing up for other people in a way that actually tremendously dishonors what's going on in ourselves, to a degree where, like, we go into self-abandonment and kind of actually just completely outright disconnect from my needs, wants, and desires and longings, and exclusively be in service to someone else's. And so I'm not sure if this is tackling your question in the exact way you wanted, Susan, but it is what your question stirred for me, and I think it's super rich, is to look at where do we compromise our own integrity to give someone else what they want in a way that's actually dishonoring, and I would even flirt with the term self-violent, when we don't advocate, when we don't go into self-advocacy for our own needs and desires. It's often an act of self-violence that can deeply hurt us at a lot of levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, sexually. So I think that's a rich territory to explore, is like, when do we overgive and people please? And like, digging deeper, it's I think people with a people pleaser orientation often find that it's actually easier, because it's what they've always done. It's like our neural pathways carve into that type of behavior, and it's kind of like putting a needle into the grooves of a record. You know, it's like these grooves are etched out, and thereby the needle just kind of chills inside the groove because it's the path of least resistance. And it actually requires effort and exertion for the needle to jump outside the record grooves. So yeah, I'm a big fan of like, where's the space where we can show up for others, but we're deeply honoring ourselves at the exact same time without self-abandonment.
I'd love to add to that, riff on it for a minute. I get this, of course, a lot as a coach. And I'll use the example that comes up a lot, where there'll be a husband who's has a higher sex drive than his wife, and wants her to be equally into it for him. This is a really tricky one, because obviously I'm a strong believer that just because you're married, it doesn't mean your wife has to give you sex because you want it. So bottom line, it's the woman's body, and both parties, male and female, or if it's two genders, it has to be consensual. So that's bottom line. But there are times that one person is more into it than the other. Can the other find the joy in providing pleasure to their partner? They may not be as into it, but if they can find the joy, then it's a beautiful gift, and not to be pushed away just because they're not as excited about it. I'm just using that as the example. For anything, a litmus test is, am I doing this just to please them? Am I stepping outside of my personal integrity in order to please this person? Or even though it's not what I would necessarily think to do or naturally do, can I authentically find joy in providing this experience, whether it's making dinner or making love or driving them to the airport or whatever it might be. And I genuinely find joy in the beautiful gift that I'm giving to the other person. We haven't heard from Dolphin yet. And Dolphin, you're probably learning big lessons because you've got a little one, your very first child. And that's got to bring up all sorts of lessons about giving beyond your comfort zone. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna. There was two questions that were in play, and Stephen answered the one about kind of giving more than is authentic to give. Shall I chew on that one a little bit?
Go wherever you want to go.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really great for us to recognize that there's no right answer. Like, don't look in the back of the book for the right answer when it comes to relationships. That's just a bad idea. And what I mean by that is, you could really give someone freedom to kind of do their thing and be free. And if they're in their purpose and they're in their integrity and their authenticity, then you're giving someone a chance to really be fully expressed in themselves and in their life. And that's beautiful. Now, switch that and have someone who is not in integrity and they're behaving badly and they're not being responsible. Then there's actually a rightness, if you're in relationship with this person, to step in and say, hey, actually, you're actually out of line there. And if we're afraid of standing upright and saying, this is my truth and this is what I see and this is what I need, because of all the conditioning that might be there in your history that says that that's dangerous, it's not good, they'll leave, whatever it is, now you're stuck because you now can't show up to the moment and see it and feel it for what it is. Is this person doing something that's truly good in them and for them and is authentic? And I might have some discomfort about it, and that's for me to hold. Or are they really out of line? And because we share a life together in whatever way that is, it is incumbent on me to say something about it. So I think we need to get away from right answers. And I think we need to find the discernment within ourselves when our own relationship with truth and our own ability to see and feel that truth outside of us is there or not. And then to behave according to that discernment. And again, this is something that ideally we learn this throughout our early development and childhood and adolescence from our parents and our siblings and our community. But hey, guess what? We're in a modern human culture and an education system that generally does a poor job of that. And so then we're left as adults trying to figure it all out. And the beauty is that we can all find our way home and heal all of that and learn how to make those discernment pieces. But it's a challenging road, and that's why it's so beautiful that so much of this work and support and coaching is out there for people that are ready and resonate with it.
Beautiful. Omashar has a question.
Yes. In a previous show, Scott gave me a reframe for the words guilt and shame, and I was really grateful for that. However, my inner resources kind of spaced out and I've forgotten it completely. But what happened was, in previous intimate relationships of mine, whenever I was triggered, the first thing that would appear, no matter what the situation was guilt. And guilt would come up in me, would overshadow me, even if I hadn't done anything. It was just a trigger. And then the other person would see that guilt emanating from me and would then try and pin me down because they already had the upper hand. Aha, you're guilty. And it was just triggered, and this guilt came up no matter what the situation was, no matter what was happening. And I don't know if there's any insight in that. I just heard what you were saying, Dolphin, about early programming and familiar programming, basically. And I'm guessing now, in retrospect, that is a part of that. But do you have any insight, anybody, into what I've just blathered on about?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, because it's vulnerable and something we all could relate to. I'm going to start with a thought, and then I'd love to hear from everybody what they want to share about guilt and shame. Just a reminder that guilt is when we feel badly about an action that we took or didn't take. Shame is when we feel badly about ourselves, right? Guilt is, I don't call my mother enough, I feel guilty. Shame is, I'm a horrible person, I don't call my mother and I'm a horrible person. So just want to kind of make sure the definitions are clear.
Yeah, and just one more thing is this: when the guilt arose, it was like someone would just point a finger at me and go, "You," and I go, guilt. And it was an unconscious thing. And then I've already lost the battle, which shouldn't have been a battle in the first place. Dolphin.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this piece. And guilt and shame it's just such a human reality. I really think that all emotions are practical and functional and actually serve an important purpose for us. And your last comment about feeling like someone pointed a finger and said, you're wrong, you're bad. I would suggest that that's exactly what you were feeling. That in your early development, you had experiences where that quality of relating was happening for you, and you didn't have a safe enough environment to fully heal and process that experience. And your nervous system and your whole psyche and sense of self is now on guard against that, or at least hyper attuned to the potential that that's what's going on. And there was something about what was going on in that state, that moment, that experience that reminded your system, not necessarily your conscious mind. Sometimes these emotions happen and we're like, what is that? It doesn't always have to be something you see and understand consciously, but something in your system registered that this is like those other times where that experience took place, and your body is giving you an opportunity to feel it, not just so you can figure out what to do now, but it's also registering in the way that it is so that you can integrate the unfinished pieces from your past. So when I think about people getting into like a nervous system dysregulation, that sounds like what you were talking about, is that if we can reframe that as it's not something to try to immediately regulate around or get past or breathe through even, but it's just a signal to us that an unfinished, unintegrated part of our past is touched and activated. And in this present moment, there's an opportunity for us to hold it and love it and recontextualize it for ourselves in a way that genuinely and sustainably puts it to rest. And so there's pieces about how that can work, but that's my initial kind of response to what you shared.
Yeah, it's interesting because when it comes up, because I'm coming to a stage in my life where I can recognize, oh, this is something from my past, and I'm just going to sit with it. But if you're in a relationship with somebody who's not on the same page, they'll just blast you, and it'll make the guilt arise more, and there's no chance really of sitting with it in that moment. And what happens with me is, there's a part of my psyche that just goes numb and pushes it away, so I don't even remember that it existed. And I guess it's just pushing it down. So anyway, thank you, Dolphin.
Yeah. It sounds like you have there's some trigger in there that would be worth exploring. Where did that voice begin? Where did that trigger start? And in a moment, we'll go to Stephen. But here's one thing to remember about guilt. First off, anybody who feels guilty, congratulations, you're not a sociopath. And so underneath guilt, you can always find care. You feel guilty because you have enough care about whatever it is you did do that you feel bad about, or you didn't do that you wish you had. Find the beauty of the care underneath the mind fuck of guilt. So that's like my big piece on that. And here is Stephen Rowland.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Beautiful shares, Scott and Dolphin. I just love hearing both of you speak pretty much all the time, and so just appreciating you both for dropping the treasures. And I'm going to take this conversation in just like a slightly different direction and kind of add a new piece of territory to the table. So this is particularly for when we have an experience where we are self-inflicting guilt and shame, not necessarily coming from another person, but we're kind of like self-flagellating. I often think that there's actually a high degree of guilt and shame placed on the experiences of guilt and shame. And like a part of us can go into judgment of like, I shouldn't be feeling this. This is bad. This is wrong. I need to like course correct, and I need to realign, and I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to do all these things to just get the fuck rid of it. And I think sometimes that's the move. What I'm putting forth is like, sometimes it's actually not the move. And what I like to do is actually just sit with it and let it be here for a moment and ask what's true about it. Like, is there something, like, did I actually make a mistake? Like, do I feel guilt because I actually dropped the ball somewhere? And like I didn't honor a commitment, or I didn't show up in a particular way that really aligned with my core values, and I feel awful about myself for not showing up in the way that I wanted to show up. Like, I actually think there's a wisdom to that. And that's like, it's an opportunity to look at, like, actually I was out of integrity there, and it didn't really meet my value for showing up with care or respect or consideration or attunement, or being tack sharp and punctual to time and honoring the commitments that I've verbally made to people. You know, like, I think there's often some wisdom and treasure to extract there. So I think having a healthy relationship with guilt and shame requires us to not shove it aside and abolish it too easily, and just let it be here just for a time, that we can extract the treasure from it, and also avoid going down the slippery slope of being stuck in it and letting it stay here for too long. I think guilt and shame are harmful when we shove it away too quickly, or we let it chill for too long. And so that's kind of just the fine art of having a healthy relationship to guilt and shame. Passing the talking stick.
Trish, you're up.
Oh, I just really love how heart-centered you men are. It's so delightfully refreshing to be sitting in such compassionate, loving company. And so much wisdom. You know, Omashar, being with guilt, especially in our romantic relationships, like I really resonate there. In my early childhood, I was an only child, so that means everything was my fault. Like, literally, I could look at something wrong and I don't even know how it would break. It just would break, and it was always my fault. So I carried a lot of guilt, and I carried a lot of shame for just existing. You know, it was like, oh, the person that I love is now angry or upset or hurt, and it would cause me like physical discomfort right here, and make me tight, because of course that's not what I want. I don't want to hurt the people that I love, and it's taken a long time to build the resilience, kind of like what Stephen was saying, but to be with the discomfort of being out of integrity, like having to deal with your inner child stuff, and also just sitting with the discomfort of someone else's pain and mine, and to just sit with it, to be really intimate with it, and to listen for what's underneath that. Like, what is it that, like, I don't want to hurt my partner, and there's this thing that I do naturally, which is annoying to both of us, that I'm going to just annoy them, and can I be with the discomfort of that? Can I be, and is it something, and also like something that they can manage or help, collaborate or negotiate reality with as well. Like, so it takes a collaborative experience here. I don't know if that was all coherent. I'm really tired.
I think you're doing great. I'm going to bring everybody up because we've got a question from Tarina here. I'm sure, how's that land? Just, you got a lot of responses to your beautiful question.
It lands very well, because it's not, I don't see it as a problem or a detriment anymore. It's just it's been spotted, and so it's on my radar, and it's the next level, as Dio was saying, of me up-leveling myself, because I'm consciously every single day doing more and more to keep my heart open and open and open and open, no matter what they say. And the more I do that, the more this stuff arises, because anything that's not love, we know the story, comes up. And so thank you for the insight and reflection so far. It's a work in progress. Or progress.
Before you go, Omashar, I can love you there. I can love you in that guilty, painful, vulnerable, scary place.
Whoa. First person who've ever said that to me. Thank you.
No.
Yeah, right.
That's something to everybody memorize, how beautiful that was. And that's a beautiful modeling, Christian, when somebody is vulnerable or even sharing their stuff, can we love them there? So thank you. That was beautiful. Beautiful, Trish. All right, we have a question from Dorina down in Ecuador. How to reclaim and reintroduce the power and beauty and the pleasure into our lives, especially in light of breaking the common view of it in many cultures as something shameful, egoistic, and even sinful. Many pleasure activists, in quotes, remind us that pleasure is a basic human need and also a measure of freedom, not just the physical freedom of the body to pursue the pleasures of the flesh, but also the mental, emotional, and spiritual freedom to feel content, happy, and full, present in our bodies and lives. Great question. Who wants to tackle that first? I'd love to hear from all of you on this. Stephen.
I'm going to take this in two places. One is a little bit more scientific, and the other one is a little bit more esoteric. So from a scientific perspective, pleasure is a highly regulating experience for us. And so the other side of that coin is being like, let's just characterize it as saying like we're like a dysregulated, stressed out mess. And so when we're running cortisol and adrenaline for a sustained period of time, it has such a harmful impact on the body. It impacts our memory, it impacts our cognitive functions, our executive function. It's hard on our joints and connective tissues in our body. It's super inflammatory. So being in that sustained space is just at the level of health awful for us. And pleasure is such a great tool to use as medicine. So I mean, there's a light and shadow side to it, of course, because we can spill way too far into pleasure in a way that actually becomes a little bit of an empowerment leak and kind of feeds more addictive mechanisms in us, which is inherently disempowering. So there's a fine line. So I'm not saying swing all the way into that side of the pendulum, but yeah, it's pleasure is medicine, and it's science. And the esoteric side of that is of my share is that, like, full stop, like I view this beautiful earthly solar system cosmic existence as just this incredible art project from some type of divine artist. Like, to me, the fact that we're here in a piece of biology that can facilitate us even having this conversation proves that there's a creative source to the universe. There's some type of intelligent mojo that runs through all of it. And like, I don't think that life on Earth is an accident. It's like, no one can convince me that it's an accident. It's like, here we are on a rock, the perfect distance from the sun that facilitates humans and insects and birds and fish and wildlife and fruits and vegetables and grass and like all of the abundant expression of life that we get here. And I think that's on purpose. Deeply, deeply on purpose. And like, just look at the biological functions of the body. You know, we have a brain and a nervous system that alerts us of danger, and a heart that beats automatically that we don't have to think about, and lungs that breathe oxygen on a planet that's abundant with oxygen. You know, like we have kidneys and liver and like all, like everything in our body, all 3 trillion cells communicating with each other, everything devoted to a purpose. And that's making our consciousness possible. And like, none of that's an accident. And so all of the features and functions of the human body are sacred. It's a part of the intelligent cosmic design. It's sacred. And pleasure is included in that. So to me, pleasure is a highly sacred function of the human body, just like the rest of it.
Beautiful. Trish.
You mean you want me to talk about pleasure? Yay! One of my favorite topics. I love that you brought up the science behind it, Stephen. Yes, our body really, we need pleasure. And one of the things, if you've ever heard me talk about sort of dismantling sort of oppressive beliefs in our culture and historically, is that they took away our pleasure. So it is a radical act of love to be in aspects of pleasure, in aspects of your embodiment or your song or your dance or your orgasm And the thing that I really, the piece about it is, the question that I have is, are you in integrity with your pleasure? And this right here is like, am I just out there on all these dating apps, just getting my pleasure on? And is it feeding me, or is it that addictive place that Stephen was talking about? Or is there something about my pleasure that I can get, that I can really be present with, to take honor, to walk in my integrity with it? Right? Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. Beautiful. When this question came up, another word came up for me, and that was the word play. And I'm going to go to Dolphin with that for a moment, because sometimes we have trouble, allowing ourselves to have pleasure. And sometimes, especially men, have trouble once we reach a certain level of age where we're supposed to be accomplishing things, where it's not okay to play. And again, Dolphin, having a young child, I'm imagining you might be having a whole new experience of play again, or not, but I just would love to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to just say, through my son, it's more deeply clear to me than ever that play is our natural state of being, and play is intrinsically pleasurable, and that to play, it's not, a lot of people talk about safety and play, and there's of course a relationship, but there's no like line in the sand where it's like, when there's this much risk or this much lack of safety, then it's more that each of us creates a container for the play that we are involved in. And the deeper the purpose of that play, the more expansive the space within which we can play. Which means that some people are so tuned into the deepest purpose of their existence that they could literally play on a battlefield with lives at stake. But they know that they're in a dance of existence, like Stephen was talking about, that is so on purpose and so sacred and so beautiful, and they can play regardless of the circumstance. And so to me, like, and I recognize I'm setting a high standard in my example, but the example is there to just remind us of a principle that's at play, which is, it's not the thing in and of itself that's good or bad, it's what is it in service to. Just like food nourishes our body, but if we don't know what food is in service to, then we'll find ourselves eating, lollipops and chocolate and donuts and whatever all day long, every day, and nothing wrong with any of that stuff. But again, if it's in service to something that's not deeply nourishing to us, then our relationship with food is all sideways. And the same with pleasure, the same with anything of that kind of somatic enjoyment. If it's in service to a deeper purpose, then it's the most nourishing thing there is. And if it's not, we can never get enough of it to nourish ourselves.
Beautiful, just beautiful. Well, I think it's about time for us to talk about RelationFlix. And Stephen is a longtime friend of both Trish and I. We've known him for a long, long time. And he first started talking to us about RelationFlix and this idea he had of creating the Netflix for relationships. And he went about this adventure. He found Dolphin as his co-pilot. And I'd love for you guys just to share with our audience a little bit about RelationFlix. Feel free to screen share, show the platform, and then talk about this big, wonderful event that I'm happy to be a part of, happening this Sunday.
Go ahead, Dolphin. You talk about the platform. I'll talk about the event.
Cool. So yeah, this is it been in the works for coming on to 4 years now. Stephen and I got together and had a sit-down conversation, both of us with a deep love and passion for communication and relationships, and a deep love and passion for filmmaking and the use of digital content to tell story and to express meaningful ideas. And it was like, when you sit down with someone and each thing that's spoken just naturally inspires the next statement or comment or wondering. And this was like, I don't know, I think it was like maybe a 2-hour sit-down meeting when we initially really kind of dove into it. And we both left that meeting thinking like, yeah, this is it. And so that was the the genesis for me. Stephen brought the initial inspired idea into the conversation, and essentially it's been a 4-year journey of reaching out to our existing networks of just incredible educators and authors and coaches, just like Scott and Trish, and finding ways like, how do you bring your magic to a broader, hungry audience that wants to learn more about themselves, understand what's really going on in relationship, especially when it gets difficult, to have more avenues to learn and grow in relationships that feel just incredibly rich and nourishing. And so on the platform, we have course materials, like I'm sure people are used to now, where there's multiple lessons about a particular topic and there's a deep dive. Hold on just 1 second. Steve, do you mind just jumping in and kind of picking up my thread, and I'll bring the website online and we can just walk through it a little bit, just so people can get a look and feel.
Got you. Got the stick.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So the platform is just an absolute treasure trove of some of the coolest, most brilliant people that I know. Scott and Trish included for sure. Their content on the platform is just stunningly amazing. I've had many moments being behind the camera shooting content. It took us about 3 years for us to get to the point where it was launch ready. So we put in tons of blood, sweat, and tears well in advance of the launch of the platform. And in that process, I've had so many moments sitting behind the camera, just like in awe of the sheer brilliance and magic that was being delivered. And I can say that about all of the content on the platform. It's just, it's professionally videographed, so it's great quality, and people just pouring their hearts out in transformational service to just shifting the paradigm with what's possible in human relationships on the planet. So we just work with such an amazing educator team full of therapists, Amazon best-selling authors, sex educators, coaches, public speakers, workshop facilitators, and yeah, it's just such a rich treasure trove.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. Just bring this up. So this is after you log in. So you probably are familiar with different kinds of subscription-based platforms. So you go in, and in here we have a menu where you can kind of go through and find specific topics, specific relationship, realities of relationship, single, dating, in relationship, and transition. For anyone that's of any kind of persuasion, we have categories broken down into 8 primary categories. I'll just kind of invite you to have a look there. And we have a podcast that runs, and here's a list of our incredible educators. You can see Trish and Scott there on that list. And what we really wanted to do was to create a place where people could come through, and whatever their question, whatever was going on in their life, whatever was going on in their relationship, this is a one-stop shop. This is a place where any of the questions you have are on answer. And we have something really special that I know Stephen is going to talk about when he talks about our event this Sunday. We're adding a bunch of new things this year. And then the first one is a live broadcasting functionality to the website. So whereas I know there's a lot of content out there, and not just RelationFlix has great relationship content, but we're committed to building a platform that is unique, that is innovative, that is just bringing all of the latest things. So we're going to be doing live broadcasting, programming, anything you could think of. We're going to start to create in terms of hot seat coaching, in terms of like reality TV show style things, live events. And so that's where I want to just sort of pass it on to Stephen. He's going to talk a little bit about the event that's happening this Sunday. It's a live event that will also be live broadcast online through our RelationFlix platform. And it's just this next layer of what we wanted to offer the world through the platform. So Stephen, tell them a little bit about the Relationship Summit and a little bit about how the live broadcasting is going to become woven into the RelationFlix platform.
Thanks, Dolphin. So, fun fact, we launched on Valentine's Day last year. So yesterday was our 1-year anniversary party. And leading up to our 1-year anniversary, I thought to myself, well, shucks, why don't I throw myself a birthday party? So this is what came from that. We're throwing an in-person event called the Relationship Summit. And we've booked, it's our first in-person event of this nature, which is a hybrid production, meaning that there's going to be an in-person audience, as well as we've hired a pro live broadcasting team to do a 3-camera high quality video shoot. So the presentations that are going to be delivered, 95% of them are going to be done from a speaker who's live on stage. And there's going to be a few virtual presentations as well. But and we also have a world famous stand-up comic who's decided to step up to the table and isn't able to be with us at the event, but they very generously pre-recorded some videos that are exclusively for the Relationship Summit itself. You can't find them anywhere else, and couldn't be more excited about it. So there's 2 ways to join us. If you're in the Victoria, BC area in the Pacific Northwest, you can join us in person, and it's going to be a lovely event. There's still tickets available. And if not, there's a live stream option. Early birds expired yesterday, but we do have a regular ticket pass for the live stream, and these are in Canadian dollars. So for all you American folks, just subtract about 30% of the price, and you're laughing. And speaking of discounts, I'm going to put a coupon code for the event once I'm done my little spiel here. But for the lineup, we have an incredible lineup of speakers. This is the stand-up comic I was telling you about. He is an alternative life coach that gives absolutely ridiculous spiritual and life advice. It is just satire at its kind of crudest finest. He's hilarious. Every time I watch one of his videos, I end up in tears. And so it's just super clever. And so he's decided to put on his relationship coach hat and deliver us some custom relationship coaching that is for Relationship Summit participants only. We have a local icon from the Pacific Northwest, Dawn Dancing Otter. She's very, very well loved in both the shamanism and trauma healing communities. So very excited to have her. And we have Elise Braithwaite, who the word on the street is that she's an incredible charismatic speaker who's going to talk about the weavings of spirituality and relationship. Ian McKenzie, who's doing a talk on regenerating trust. He's a very popular filmmaker. We have Damien Bowler, who some of you might know, who's an expert on attachment theory as well as authentic relating, and just so much. NVC experts, an authentic flirting workshop, which I can't wait for. Creativity and sexuality workshop. Dolphin's going to be teaching a parenting workshop. We have these beautiful and handsome creatures who will be joining us as well. And we're going to have live music. And this is a psychotherapist who's also just incredible. There's lots of great speakers. There's this handsome chap. So it's going to be an amazing event. And if you'd like to join us for the live broadcast, it's happening this Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. And if you'd like to join us, you can do so with this coupon code. You just go to the website. It's relationship-summit.ca and pick any ticket, and you'll get $10 off your ticket, Canadian. And yeah, so whatever experience tickles your fancy to join us, you can get a custom discount there.
Beautiful.
And yeah, it's going to be a super lovely event.
And Eleanor Joy is going to be there. So where is she? I'm going to put her on camera here for a minute. Eleanor Joy is coming, and she just wrote how much fun it's going to be. The comedian is worth the price of admission alone, and she knows Rochelle Lamb. Looking forward to hearing her. So Eleanor Joy and Stephen, you're going to be meeting each other this Sunday.
Looking forward to it.
All right.
Just one more thing before we move on. The summit, the online broadcast of the summit is available to existing annual and 3-year subscribers to the platform. And so for anyone that isn't yet a subscriber on RelationFlix, if that's something that you're interested in, then this will be something that you'll want to look at. It's just a really great sort of additional benefit if you want to do the subscription with us. So yeah, just wanted to mention that.
So what I want to suggest is right now, buy your tickets. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video. You've seen it before. I've showed it on this show a few times, but I love it. It's very love themed. Johanna Beekman took, I love the Beatles, but I feel like they got it wrong. It's not all you need is love. It's do everything with love. Do everything with love. So I said that to Johanna, and she set about and made this wonderful video that features a lot of your favorite Awakening World presenters. So while I play the video, I want everyone to go online and buy your ticket. Either buy your ticket to this Sunday's event, which I'll be part of a panel. I was going to try and drive up there, and it just was too much. But I'm still going to be on the panel. And all these amazing RelationFlix people that you'll be able to watch live online, or for those of you who live close enough, go up to British Columbia, sit next to Eleanor, and see it live. So join right now. But while you're all signing up and registering and checking out RelationFlix, this is a really wonderful video that I love, and it's perfect for our theme of love.
Love, 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 love. Love is everything. Love is everything. Love is everything.
Thank you, Johanna Beekman. I love that video. I could watch it over and over and over. Hey, Trish, I've got the camera on you. You're muted.
Oh ha. I'll just tell you. So I'm taking an intensive course called Counseling Abusers, and it's on the East Coast. So that means I got up incredibly early this morning after going to bed really late to turn in all of my homework. But I'm gonna guess that you wanted me to talk about what Dia put in. Is that right?
I did. You got it.
Can you read it for me? Because I can't.
Yes. So Gia wrote, Trish, all I can say right now is thank you for your delicious candor. Louise Hay's work has assisted me greatly in naming shame and guilt, especially in sex and pleasure, and concept of God as core culprits in physical expressions that show up as herpes, AIDS, etc. What do you think?
Well, Louise Hay, many years ago, like 10 years ago, when I was at this very esoteric massage school, she was one of our foundational textbooks. And it really changed my life. And it occurred to me that, in this sense of that we not necessarily create, but our emotions or our the way that we either process or don't process things that are happening to us can show up in our body, and these aspects of sexual shame that's so pervasive in our culture and in global society to keep us from our pleasure, to keep us from the expression of those show up in certain ways, and in the ways of like not showing up in your own integrity. Like if I'm constantly playing around, like at the example that I used, I'll just give you a real life example. In my early 20s, I was seeking connection. I was seeking pleasure. I was seeking partnership and companionship. And I didn't really know how to go about that because I grew up in a really scary, dangerous childhood, like lots of different, I didn't really have models of healthy behavior or healthy relationships. So I went about doing what I saw on television or what I saw my parents or all of these things. And that would show up. I would be dating around. What do the kids call it? Oh, they call it something like something snazzy today. I don't remember. Okay, come to me. That it would show up in places where I did feel shame or guilt about my expression because I wasn't walking in my integrity. I wasn't really honoring my pleasure for myself. I was honoring for something. So going way back to the very beginning of this conversation, when Stephen was talking about, like really taking it as sacred, but also really coming back to seeing, like, what's the purpose? Oh, that one maybe is Dolphin. Is what's the purpose of the pleasure? What is the purpose of this action? And I was doing something really manipulative that I think that we're all taught to do, is like I was giving to get, instead of being in my pleasure, in my integrity, in myself, and showing up in that way. So instead of that, I was showing up in all of these different ways. and I didn't feel confident or empowered in my pleasure. I was the opposite.
Sharing that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, I would love to give each person one last, whatever you want to share about love, relationship, or RelationFlix. And then we'll close out with an Omushar song and a couple of Global Peace Tribe announcements. But let's go to Dolphin. What do you want to share as kind of a closing thought?
Well, I mean, it's just always a pleasure to be in this space with you, Scott, Trish. Thank you for sort of holding the flag for so long and just creating such a beautiful community. I think what's ripe and real for me right now is just, I saw online a few friends of mine talking about no mud, no lotus, and I think we can easily get marred down and overly focused on the negative, but we can also get stuck kind of romanticizing and fantasizing about, like, oh, if it could only just all be good. And I think there's nothing more empowering, there's nothing more supportive, there's nothing more nourishing than when we deeply learn to show up for life as it arises. And in that, we get to more authentically and in a more empowered way be the agents of bringing that more connected, whole, beautiful world into being. And that's what my work is about. It's what Stephen and I are building together, and it's what I know Trish and Scott are all about here. So just always a pleasure to be in the space with people that are aligned and on the same kind of journey. So much appreciation for everyone that came. We would love to see you this Sunday, of course, and please stay in touch.
Beautiful. And thank you for what you've created, and definitely looking forward to tuning in on Sunday and seeing all your amazing presenters. Stephen, what are your closing thoughts?
When it comes to relationships, the place that I always come back to is that a lot of us have a tendency to really focus on like the yummy, juicy, magical parts of relationship, and all of that is just so lovely and amazing when it's like just so rich and abundant and present in our lives, and it's just such a gorgeous, medicinal, empowering, creativity amplifying, zest for life inducing experience, and it's gorgeous. And to me, like, the foundation of that is so much about how we actually deal with the hard stuff. If we end up staying stuck in the muck for too long, or have an inability to meet something that's difficult from a loving place, seemingly in service to love, but really what's actually is there's actually a denial, a lack of loving of the present moment that happens with difficult moments. I'm kind of piggybacking on what Dolphin was saying. It's like really all about how we engage with the more difficult parts of life and relationship. And when we can do that with an open heart, full presence, and a big yes, rather than needing to kind of push it away or sweep it under the rug, to me, that creates just a solid platform for the fullness of love's potential to really blossom. So that's something that I feel really deeply in service to and passionate about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Dolphin, I just saw your notes. So yes, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just a clarification. People who are subscribers already do get access to the event, but we're throwing in a free 1-year subscription to RelationFlix for people who attend the event. So on balance, you're better off buying a ticket for the event, especially Steve's throwing in the extra $10 off. So you get the $10 off the ticket for the event, and you get a free year subscription to RelationFlix. So it's basically like, why would you not go? And yeah, we'd love to see you all there. Just wanted to make sure the information was clear.
What a deal. That's a deal. It really is. It's an amazing deal. Amazing. Trish.
Yes, to both of like, love shows up where it's difficult. You know, I mean, it's easy to love someone in the good times. And I love that you both brought that up, because life is challenging. It can be. And it can be really delightful. And what creates trust and what builds rapport is showing up during the difficult times with love and compassion and capacity. It also shows up in taking accountability for harms experienced and done. It, like, when we step into our own like understanding of self and start getting really in integrity with that, like when our thoughts and our words and our actions are aligned, and we are choosing to really step into our value system in that way, that's one of the, for me, the foundations of self-love. And then when we bring that self-love, and again, I just want to make the clarification that self-love isn't the arrogant or the like overly like, oh, whatever kind of thing. It's the understanding that I'm kind of a messy human, and that's what it's going to do. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing that, annoying thing again, or so-and-so's doing that annoying thing again. That to actually show up in some aspect of appreciation for that, and to take accountability for, like not doing the dishes or whatever underneath things there, but also big mess ups, and to not get defensive there, but to really be there. And that is the one thing that I've had the most struggle with in relationships, is people who have the capacity to be with all of this and all of real life, all of the difficult parts of life, to hold someone in the grief of their dad, or to show up in places where they're scared and bitey. That's where love happens.
Dia wrote a really great question. So even though I was doing these big goodbyes, you're not done with us yet, because it's such a good question. And I'd love to get at least Dolphin and Trish's perspective. Dia writes, my puzzlement is why, if I've known of these concepts since reading Louise Hay's You Can Heal Yourself 4 decades ago, why do I still grapple with some of these long-time expressions in my body? So Trish, Dolphin, do you want to tackle that beautiful, vulnerable question?
I'll start. Anyone who's done a lot of introspective and personal work, or read a lot, it's very clear that our psyche, our emotionality, and our conscious presence has a massive impact on the physical body. The interaction and relationship is undeniable, and the evidence just keeps piling up around how strongly correlated our mental well-being and our sense of wholeness within ourselves tracks to our physical well-being. So yes, there is a relationship between our personal and sort of psychological unintegrated stuff, and different kinds of ailments and illnesses and diseases that might come into our system. But I think it's not helpful to come up with this idea that, like, if I do work, it means it's all going to go better physically, because it's nonlinear. The body is nonlinear, the mind is nonlinear. They're in relationship, they're in dance, but it could be that here's an example that I like to use. If you have a really terrible diet, and then you immediately replace it with just a clean, beautiful, incredibly nourishing diet, you'll actually go into distress. Your body will go into distress because it's not used to that food. It's in a rhythm, And the change is very disruptive to your current homeostasis. And the reason I say that is because sometimes the healing process takes us into dark corners before it brings us into the light. And so, and again, it's nonlinear. Like, if we just trust that there are certain ways of being that invite and facilitate integration and wholeness and nourishment and well-being, that it's worth committing to those things in spite of the short-term or even medium-term results. That ultimately those are seeds planted in the interest of a garden, that some of which we will see. And the reality is that many of the seeds we plant in our human lives, we will not see. Someone down the road from us will get to enjoy the fruits of those seeds. So it's more about deeply committing to principles of being that we know are whole and nourishing, and not get too trapped or caught in a kind of transactional, like, oh, I'll do the good thing so that I get a specific result. That easily gets us trapped in having evidence of the result of our action that doesn't reflect what we hoped it would be. And then the worst part of that is that then we give up on the underlying principles of well-being that we were invested in, because, you know, we made up some story about, well, why didn't I get the result that I was looking for? So it's maybe not the feel-good story that we're looking for, but I have absolute trust in the intelligence of life to heal and integrate itself. And I believe it can all be healed, but not necessarily the way we think, and not necessarily in our lifetime. So that's where we have to be connected to something greater than ourselves to be committed to those types of principles. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share.
I love that, Dolphin. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go back to Trish in a moment, but just riffing on what Dolphin just said. I think of Krishnamurti, and this really made a big impression on me. Krishnamurti was an extraordinarily highly evolved spiritual teacher. Many believed he was actually the Messiah. He said, no, I'm not the Messiah, and that's a whole other story. But bottom line is that his brother was his best friend, and his brother got very ill, and his brother really wanted to live, and Krishnamurti really wanted his brother to live. And they were at a very high state of spiritual evolution. They knew all the top healers in the world, and his brother died. And I went to see Krishnamurti speak shortly before he died. And he said that it taught him that no matter who you are, life is a great mystery, and there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. It's a journey. It's an incredible mystical journey. And we can read something and intellectually get it, but our body has its own chemistry. Our psyche has its own chemistry. We have our epigenetics to deal with. We are complex beings, and there's a lot going on a lot of different levels. And so it's ultimately a great mystery. And sometimes it takes an instant to change, and sometimes it takes a lifetime to change. And sometimes we don't change completely. That's why there's reincarnation. So I am going to go to Trish if I can find her. Where'd you go, Trish? Oh, Trish. Huh. She was here. She's gone. She's disappeared. All right. Well, I do have some announcements that I want to make. I want to start by just really one more time. I want to go to the educators on RelationFlix. We saw it briefly when Dolphin was doing it, but I know most of these people. Right in this moment, I'm actually staying in the home of Lori Grace. Jessica Osterday is one of my dearest friends, and she and Lori have been on this show many times. Ariel Brown is brilliant. Arika will be on the show a week from tonight. Of course, there's Dolphin, who we've heard from tonight, Michael Dyer, Mike Thomas, Paul Sterling, Philippe, myself, Shazza, Stephen, Trish. All of these people have been on the show and are brilliant teachers, brilliant coaches. And so you can get access to all of their wisdom by joining RelationFlix. And they've made it so inexpensive. So I really want to encourage everyone, join this platform. It's really, really worthwhile. Also want to just give a little preview of what's going to be happening on the Awakening World this weekend. we are going to be collaborating once again with Teresa Collins and Jennifer Hill. And they're great. You know, they run the Global Coherence Pulse. And so really want to encourage everybody to join us Saturday night. It's going to be powerful, unleashing the power of the heart. And they've brought on just an all-star group of luminaries to talk about this. And Omar Shah will be playing music. Mystical Joyride will be with us. It's going to be a really, really good show. I also, before RelationFlix starts their thing, come on into our community conversation on Sunday. We're going to be talking about all the upcoming events, including really going into detail for the upcoming Global Peace Tribe retreat. And so come talk with Omashar and myself. We've got some surprises planned, and that'll be the Sacred Sunday show this morning. Then go right into the RelationFlix Summit. So it's going to be a really beautiful and full Sunday for everybody. Also, J Mayer is back. We're doing more light touch stuff, and we are starting a light touch daily practice group. We'll just get together for about 15 minutes and practice. We've started doing it, and if any of you are interested in doing that, let us know. And as always, speaking of Omashar, I'm going to go to our beloved brother for a closing song.
Yay. Wow. What a deep and beautiful evening. Thank you all. Thank you, Stephen and Dolphin. And Trish, I think her cat ran across her computer and pressed the off button. So I'm going to say, I imagine there's going to be a self-love show tomorrow from Trish Wright and her beautiful partner. I think it's generally 10 a.m. on Thursday. So
yes, thank you thank you. I was going to promote it. So yes, always the self-love show, 10 a.m. Pacific time, Thursday mornings, Trish and Dawn, and it's always brilliant.
yeah. So here is a little ditty called Love Will Lead Us. What a concept. So here we
Love will lead us on. Our love will clear the way. Our love will show the world. There's nothing in the way. The light of love has come, centering my soul. Amazing things abound, 'cause now we've reached our goal. To celebrate your liberation, shine your love throughout the world. As consciousness proceeds through being, I am here, I am now, I will light the way. Our love will lead us on. Our love will clear the way. Our love will show the world. There's nothing in the way. Let go of stories old and walk into the new. Free to be at last. So stand up and be true. Celebrate your liberation. Shine your love throughout the world. As consciousness proceeds my soul. Amazing things abound. 'Cause now we've reached our goal as we celebrate our liberation, shining our love throughout the world as consciousness precedes true being. I am here, I am now, and I will light the way. Our love will lead us on. Our love will clear the way. Our love will show the world. There's nothing in the way.
Hmm.
Beautiful. The background is
I know, man.
I think the best one yet.
It's so trippy. I have such fun researching and getting them working. So yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Great song. You know, after these shows, Omashar, whatever your closing song was is in my head until I go to sleep.
Yes. So thank you. We shall what is it? Bank that. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, buddy, I look forward to seeing you on Saturday night. Thank you so much for everything. And once again, bringing up Stephen, and Dolphin is somewhere, unless he's run off with Trish. But he may have.
I think he has.
I think oh, no, there he is. There he is.
He's here.
All right.
How dare you? How dare you?
We thought it was
I don't have a,
guys.
I don't have a cat.
Great show. I so respect what you've created, and really looking forward to Sunday. I'll be with you all day watching. And you've got some new people that I haven't met before, so I'm looking forward to meeting them. And God's blessings, Global Peace Tribers. Have a wonderful week, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
Take
Good night,
care, everyone.
everybody.